Now, welcome everyone. I'd like to call to order this March 11th, 2024 meeting of the Snohomish County Fire District 4 Board of Commissioners. Thank you all for coming. Please stand, and the flag is right there so we can have true. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please let the record show that all three commissioners are in attendance, although Commissioner Merritt is attending remotely. It looks like he's, I don't know where he is, Bellevue or something. Agenda order. Any changes to the order? I have a couple that I would like to request. I would like to move the presentation from the VFW up so they don't have to sit here all night and listen to her jabber. So we'll do that pretty quickly. And also we have a facilities presentation from Lawhead Associates. And we also have some actions that we need to take with regard to facilities. So I'd kind of like to put those together so that the actions will be a little more fresh in our mind about what we have just talked about, so we can put those together. So if you would allow me that change, I'd appreciate it. We have minutes from a couple of meetings that we need to approve, and they are from February 12th and February 21st. You've had a chance to take a look at those. Any changes, additions, deletions, modifications?
Nope, I move that we accept as written.
So moved. They are accepted. And now we have post, help me, 921, right?
Yes.
Yes, VFW. Are here to make a presentation.
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to introduce Mr. Otis Wolf, Mr. Chris Cote from our VFW post, who have a couple of special presentations for members of Fire District 4.
Perfect.
Where do you want us, Greg?
Right over here, please, Otis.
Yeah, get your face
Thank
in the
you.
camera. Right on that camera.
There you go. There we go.
Okay, once again, some of these faces, a lot of faces are familiar. Having worked for the school district for years, and my son having been a firefighter here at the district for a while. But once again, I've had the honor and privilege of being the chaplain or the chairman for the VFW firefighter EMT law enforcement program. Actually, it includes 911 operators. We have not got an entry for that yet. But with the help of Greg, writing the recommendations are sent on to be voted on by a group of people who have lined up. And anyway, Veterans Foreign Wars of the United States, VFW Post 921 Certificate of Appreciation awarded to Sean M. Withrow, firefighter, Snohomish District 4, in special recognition of the highest praise for alertness, personal courage, and ever-efficient leadership in the guardianship of life and property. Sean, that's a film. That's a familiar face.
Thank you.
All right, get between us here.
Get in the middle.
Yeah.
Right here, guys. Thank you.
There's a little something for you and your family behind the certificate.
Thank you.
You bet. All right, one more time. Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States, VFW Post 921, Certificate of Commendation awarded to Jose E. Islas. I hope I didn't mess it up, bro. EMT, Snohomish District 4. EMT of the year.
You're in the middle. Oh, yes. Congratulations. Thank you.
All right, good job.
Right here, fellas. Thank you.
Awesome.
Do you know anyone?
I don't. You're the program manager, man.
My bad. One of you guys is in state competition. Went to the district, became District 1, Department of Washington, firefighter EMT of the year. I'm having a senior moment and don't remember which one, but one of you guys is going on up. And that puts you, if you win at the state level, and we have had District 4 firefighters and EMTs win at the state level, then you're put into the national program. So it's pretty exciting. But thank you again.
Well deserved.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Hey, Chief. Jason.
Otis, thank you.
You bet.
I want to thank BFW for recognizing our firefighters, our EMTs, and always coming. And this year I was even early. I wasn't on time or late as usual. I was a little bit early with all this information, getting it off to Otis. So thank you both very much. Chris, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We want to. Yes. Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
So now's the time in our meeting when we'll allow public to make comments. If they so choose, we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. If there is anyone here that would like to speak, now's your opportunity. Was there anyone that submitted anything online?
No.
No, okay. So, anyone care to say anything? Okay. Moving right along, we've got our normal look at how we're spending our money. Any questions or concerns on that?
No questions or concerns there.
Anything from you, Commissioner Merritt?
Nope.
Okay. Then we are moving into a presentation from Lawhead and Associates.
Mr. Mayor, can you see that?
I can.
Frank, if you could take like 30 seconds, we'll allow people, if you want to slip out of here, you can. You don't have to endure all of this, yes. Thank you. So, Mr. Lyon.
Well, thank you. So we're here this evening to review the progress for Station 41 and 43. Thanks for having us and having this opportunity to present this. We've been working with Chief Waller for a little over 2 years to get to this point through property acquisition and schematic design.
Of course it's not going to work now.
Try turning it on and off. There's a button on the side.
Oh, this
Probably hit that. Want me to do it?
Oh, sure.
Right now, make sure it It wasn't selected as the main program.
So, now that we got that solved, the toughest part of the presentation. So, our presentation is pretty simple. We have broken it up into a couple of different areas. A summary of where we're at. Then we'll review 41, followed by 43. Talk about schedule a bit, and then open it up for questions. As we mentioned, our site for Station 41 is located between 3rd and 4th and Pine Avenue, and was quite an endeavor to find the piece of property with the chief, investigate it, do test-a-fits to identify how much area of the site that we needed, and through the chief's effort, found a great partner to work on the south half of the site, which is the city of Snohomish. Sorry about that. And just a quick overview of how the site's being developed. In the northwest quadrant, the fire station will be placed in the northwest quadrant of the site. We're taking approximately 43% of the overall site for the fire district. The city will retain the remainder of the site for a variety of structures. Again, this is just more of a site plan view of the site. The station's approximately 23,000 square feet. The majority of that's on a single level. The second level is only on the support side of the bay. We're providing approximately 22 stalls for parking. There'll be parking adjacent to the front entry off the south side of the building, as well as secured crew parking, which the number of crew parking is still being resolved. That will be behind a secure gated area. For the site for Station 43 is the site that's adjacent to us, the existing site. We'll be repurposing this site and creating a new approximately 10,500 square foot facility on this existing site. Again, working with the chief, navigating through the perils of the site that did exist. There was a wide variety of ownership, both in property and in structures, with the city and some other agencies, and that was vetted out, and we were left with a buildable site where we could place a new Station 43 and still take advantage of the connections with Avenue D. So as we'll just take you through Station 41 programmatically. Again, we'll be setting on the corner of 4th and Pine, which is the northwest quadrant of the overall site. We'll be accessing the site from the fire apparatus standpoint directly from Pine, and there's a return fuel loop off of 4th that would access the apron in the front of the structure also. The public and crew approach via vehicles will be off of the Cypress Street that will be developed in the area that was vacated, that will be repopulated, and that will provide access to the south end of the station, as well as the secured area for the firefighters. And it will continue on to the south to provide access to the Civic Center. At the schematic level, we're looking at a variety of utility issues, water quality, detention, storm access to the facilities in Pine, getting our roof water off, a variety of typical issues. The other utility issues will be new service for electrical and water as we progress through. Also, a typical issue with fire stations, no matter what jurisdiction that we work in, is the concept everybody wants to wash their rigs, and that's pretty common. And we're in the process of working with the city on a variety of solutions. The most typical provide a washing area in the apparatus apron that could be worked with a variety of valves, pretty much a very simple trench drain and a valve that would divert water from storm and to sewer, depending on the use and the activity that's occurring at that time. Again, as I mentioned, the majority of the station's on the same floor. It's approximately 22,000 square feet on the main floor. It consists of 5 general areas. And we just kind of broken them down into kind of zones for us to talk about this evening. As you approach the building from the south, there'll be a public meeting area that can be shared with city staff from the civic facility as well as the public. It will be secured. It will provide restrooms for that conference room and be self-contained and isolated from the crew in the station and also the administration function. The green zone here is representing the administration area. We're providing 10 offices with a variety of combinations, some single use, some double occupant offices, workspace, storage space, a small break room, and restroom facilities. Again, that green zone can be secured off with our key card system and have limited access as we go on into the station. The yellow portion represents more the crew area, but also which would include the kitchen, dining, and day room. 6 dormitories and a back chief is the base design at this time. It would also include an exercise area that will have access through the key card system again to employees from the civic side of the campus. They can access that directly on the exterior with their card. As from the day beaner, the beanery area is located in the upper right-hand corner there, and the dormitories are accessible across the hallway into the apparatus bay for quick response. The red zone is the support area as well as the apparatus bays for the station. There's 5 74-foot deep response bays. The supporting spaces would include a decon area, bunker storage, EMS, air filling stations, and a variety of general storage facilities. And then the building itself requires support spaces, mechanical, electrical rooms, fire sprinkler room, communications. So as we kind of view the building from Pine Street, that would be the west elevation, we start seeing the massing that we have. We're in the Clipchamp design district, which limits us in terms of massing with modulation requirements along the facade of the building, window sizes, vertical heights, the material palette that we can use. And so we've been working closely with the planning director and the city of Snohomish as we move this process along.
Frank, can you explain modulation?
Sure. So in the code, we can only go X horizontal feet before we have to have a relief in the facade. Yes. And then we're approaching it in a variety of ways. Not only would it be a physical break, but we're also using the apparatus bay doors, for example, by using its transparency, we're saying that that provides modulation for that facade. Because the width of the bay itself, we can't really modulate that. And so those are the types of elements that we're working with the planning department to secure those types.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So on the south side, which is the lower elevation, that would be the entry approach. The darker shaded area is the conference room that that we showed in the plan. And if my pointer worked, I would point, but it's not working, so I apologize for that. But along that facade is the exercise area, and then a solid portion to the right, which would be the closed area of the day room. But staff from the civic side of the site can access directly into the conference space as well as the exercise room if they have the right coding on their security card. And then just very quickly, the upper elevation is mostly dominated by the dormitory spaces that we have. And just in general, the reason why we're required to have a second means of egress out of all sleeping facilities. So all of the windows into the dorm space will be meeting the IBC requirements for emergency egress. And then you see the bay, the height of the bay in the background. And we have some drawings that will articulate this better. So not only are we looking at materials at this time in general, in terms of our material palette would be a series of concrete masonry units, which will be honed, which means that they're ground smooth. They have a very smooth texture, and it brings the aggregate of the masonry out for a texture. We'll be working with a traditional brick. We'll be working with horizontal siding, and with that combination, we'll have the ability to add paint and the fenestration texture of the windows themselves. So as you can see from the west elevation, which is pine, we're demonstrating how that modulation concept works, where you can actually see, and it creates, the doors create a very powerful rhythm that allows you to view into the station and be very transparent. Oh, sorry about that. Very similar to some of the modulation that you see down on First Avenue. The other windows are representing that also. We'll also enhance that connection to the history of Snohomish by using some other architectural elements, some additional cornices, and small accents to announce that, as well as with canopies, which are not only help us modulate the building and give texture to the building and relief, but form a very important purpose of providing weather protection to the apparatus as they exit and return into their positions. The lower elevation in this layout is the entry. It's the south side, as I mentioned before, where you can see the brick element in the middle of the elevation. That represents the conference room that we talked about. Right adjacent to it, to the left side, is the entry. There's a canopy that reaches out to the public parking. To the left of the brick area is the exercise area. It has its own roll-up door, so on our summer days, which are becoming more frequent now, we can roll that up, blow out the whole space. There'll also be, as we develop the site, there'll be a series of site walls in front of that to provide screening and also security to that area if exercise equipment is left out during the day or when a call comes, that it will still be secured from the public. That's a view of this color scheme, mostly gray with accents of the brick and the concrete masonry units. In this scheme, we're adding in a darker element, a deeper gray, as well as showing what happens when our garage doors aren't completely transparent. When they have more of a feel of what more of a standard door might be considered, there'll be solid panels, envision panels, working together. The modulation isn't quite as strong. It doesn't relate to the windows quite as well. So in our negotiations with the city at this point, we're still working with the more transparent apparatus doors. And that's a look at that color scheme. Again, this view would be considered the southwest view of the station. You'd be like midpoint of Pine, looking at the new station. And then I think we have one other color situation to take a look at. Again, using the darker gray more on the administration portion, which is the element on the upper elevation, the west elevation to the right, with a deeper gray color, you can kind of see that modulation happening. Also in this elevation, we're starting to take a look at introducing building signage, as you can see from the numerals identifying station 41. It could be permanently placed in the building. Again, the south elevation, kind of same situation. We have a darker tone on the admin building to kind of punch that corner, and then a more moderate gray on the remainder of the building. And this is what this looks like from that view. So that's kind of a quick walk around the building and the elements that we've been working on through schematic design. Since then, we've also been fielding comments and suggestions and vetting out the next layer of the project and working on a couple of items that we may want to incorporate into the design. Here we're demonstrating what it would be to increase the amount of secured parking. So I believe we've increased that to 16. So it's a double parking lot with 8 stalls on each side. We have a secured fence / wall. Our wall and fence will also have to meet design standards for the Clipchamp design district. So it'll be a combination of brick and iron and vegetation, all working together to not only provide security, but to meet the visual requirements of the Clipchamp design district. Another element that we've been working with the district on is to house the antique fire engine and how we want to handle that. And this slide, again, I apologize for the pointer being down. We're showing multiple areas of where that display could be. We could locate it on Pine, and you see a small rectangle down below. We can locate it off of Cypress in multiple places. That would be everybody that comes to the Civics campus or views the would view that from the Cypress entrance.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there's 3 or 4 areas that we can place the antique out structure. At the same time, so there's a view of it at Pine. So the lower left perspective shows what that might look like. 2 views of it. It can be a standalone off of the Cypress options. And there's a couple of options off of Cypress that we could do. We can create a situation where it becomes also not only just housing the apparatus, but providing shelter and a place to gather, to have small activities also to be incorporated into this civic feel on the campus. Cypress is going to will be the major access point for all public vehicles, so it becomes a very visual entry point into the facility. Another option that we're looking at is to attach the display building onto the north side of the station itself. One of the variances that we are working with the city is to actually bring the fire station 10 feet to the south of the north property line. Their code wants us to put the fire station immediately on the property line. But we need that 10 feet for other items, i.e. the most important is to create a better return loop for the engines to return and fuel before they re-enter the structure. So one of the concepts is to take the display building and actually integrate it into the north facade, which will also provide some modulation relief, which we've already talked about, And we have 3 or 4 options of how that could work on the north side. So we would actually get to take advantage and provide use of that 10-foot strip to the north, as well as provide an interior access point from the station into the display building. And here's a couple of options that we can do. Whether we put the operable door on the north portion of the structure, or we put it on the west side and they pull in and we make it more transparent. Those items can be worked out, and we can help modulate the north side of the building, which is very important because the north side of the building inherently does not want to have a lot of fenestration or windows on it, because we're housing specialty type spaces, some that require us to have zero light, natural light, to penetrate that. So again, we're negotiating with the city at this time on a solution. So again, not only have we looked at some additional site issues that we may want to incorporate into the building, we've also had conversations about elements in the structure itself. Sorry, I'm going to go back to the previous slide. We took a look at adding a 7th dormitory. There's the ability to add that because of our future planning that we had already inherently captured into the building, and converting a study into a dorm. We have the exact same proportion, so we could add the 7th dorm without increasing the envelope of the building itself. Then we made some internal adjustments, taking a larger library and dividing it into 2 smaller study rooms for the crew. It could also be achieved by increasing the envelope of the building, by adding a dorm on the east side and bringing the beanery, the day kitchen dining area, farther to the south. But obviously that increases the footprint of the building. We've also discussed, do we want that kitchen dining area to be a bit more spacious, and took a quick look at what that meant too. Another element that has generated interest is to increase the size of the conference room that we had at the beginning of the building. And again, by placing the conference room in such a way that we could have this flexibility to make these adjustments deeper into the design of the building, it's allowed us that flexibility to add that on. And this represents that type of an addition. And again, just kind of we've talked about this in terms of modulation already, but here's a direct comparison of what the all glass doors would look like and kind of the partition doors would look like. Just again, to kind of keep that in your mind. So we can circle back on that. The third door option is a high-speed bifold door, which is becoming more and more available for stations. They're relatively expensive, and obviously that is a driving force, whether that will be part of your station or not. Another option that we've talked about is to enhance the envelope and life of the building by adding a rain screen behind our fiberboard cement product. And we would highly recommend this type of adjustment. It will increase the durability and longevity of the skin of the building. It's one of those hidden costs in a building sometimes, but something that would be very beneficial. We've looked at solar arrays on the station. The 2021 IBC, which is in effect, mandates a more rigid requirement for solar panels. And so the array to the right represents what we'll need to meet the code requirement. The array to the left demonstrates, well, we could double that if we wanted to. Again, it comes down to the effectiveness in terms of dollars spent, and there's a fairly substantial return on that always. So again, I had mentioned a bit earlier, we're starting to look at signage on the building, and there's a couple of options here. Larger letter with smaller text that would articulate in more detail that it's Snohomish County Fire District 4, Station 41. We could have it more abbreviated, Station 41. All these signs could also be, it could be a cut stainless sign. We can also go to more of an acrylic sign that can be backlit in the evening, so it'll have more of a glowing sense. But it's just to give you a general sense of what the massing of the letter might look like, signage might look like on the building. Or we go very simple. It's 41. Everyone knows it's a fire station, and it's pretty clear that what it's stating there. So just a couple of ideas on that. And then with all projects, we get to the bitter end, the important elements of talking about cost. We've done 2 cost estimates on Station 41. One more in a pre-planning stage, and a second one that was completed in mid-February. The results were very positive for the mid-February update. Right now, we have a max MACC. The physical cost of building the station is going to be a total of about $16.5 million. The breakdown of that is the building itself is about 10.5. We'll have the cost of the display building. That takes care of the structure on the site. The site work is going to be approximately 3.6 million, and that's site work that's inherent both within the property line and outside the property line. And outside the property line are things that the city requires of us. So we are required to have a minimum of half-street improvements on Pine and on 4th. And those would be covered in those costs. There's also utility costs that need to occur in that. Obviously, these costs, what we try to do is we're not trying to be the low bidder on bid day here. We're trying to hit the mean of the bids, and we're also projecting extra to the midpoint of construction for the cost of the facility. So with those considerations, again, we're in that $16.5 million range for the actual cost of the project. In addition to that, all projects incur soft costs, which would include a variety of fees, permit fees, the engineering and architectural fees, the attorney fees, furniture, the construction contingency, and of course, sales tax, unless there's a way that we can figure out how not to do that. But haven't done that on any projects to date. So those are some very major components that will also be part of the cost of the project. And this slide kind of articulates some cost to some of the items that we mentioned already, and I'll just go through those really briefly. If we want to increase the size of the conference room, we're adding 246 square feet. That's approximately 68,000 square feet. By adding the 7th dorm but not expanding the envelope, that's a zero cost, for instance. But to do that, where we're increasing the envelope to add that dorm space, that could potentially be in the $100,000 range, because we're adding square footage to what is considered the base number, which was the schematic design from mid-February, which ties into the cost estimate from that mid-February check-in period. Some of the other items would be the siding upgrade, where I spoke about the rain screen. That's approximately 30,000 square feet. $30,000. What else were some of the highlights that we talked about? The bifold doors, I never really completed a thought or loop on that. For instance, the increase from our base transparent roll-up doors to go to the high-speed bifold doors, that's an addition of $155,000. So kind of a premium element. And what the committee has done is they've created a priority scoring system of how they feel dollars would be best spent, in addition to what we have in the schematic design. So that's available for everybody to look at. The solar array, that's a bit of a larger swing. We're in the process of talking and negotiating with Snohomish County PUD number 1 on that, but there's a potential that cost could be somewhere between $100,000 to $168,000 to double that array, for instance. So that gives you an idea of how the committee has been working with us and being very mindful of the dollars that are available. We looked at increasing the size of the kitchen and day room, for instance, and that was going to be about $50,000. Again, it's listed in terms of a priority. We looked at bringing in gas for cooking. That's going to range somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 if that would be done. So I feel like the committee's done a really nice job, along with the chief, of managing the facility as we design it and working hand in hand with us to get us to this point. I also think the chief has really worked well with the city, and we've been able to work very well and create a very efficient building to this point to meet the Clipchamp design district as we know, requirements as we know. So that was 41, and 43 is in a little bit of a different situation. We're not in the Clipchamp design district. We're not in any kind of special design district. So it frees us up to have a little bit more flexibility in terms of the massing of the building, the exterior materials of the building. So we have a bit more freedom with that. We're talking about the site that's just adjacent to us. Again, the chief has articulated a new site, and that site will accommodate a 10,000 square foot footprint for a new station. We'll be able to retain all the work out on Avenue D and make the same connection. So we'll not be dealing with as much street frontage improvements because we're going to basically reuse what's there. And that gets us to the station itself. Again, kind of zoned in a very similar way as Station 41. We tried to reuse some of the modules within the building as best as we can to maximize the efficiency of the design of those areas. It too has a small second floor storage area that supports the apparatus bed. And again, I'll just take you through the station real briefly. It has a much smaller front end of the building, as you can see. There's a small vestibule that leads into an area that can be secured where firefighters can address the public for blood pressure checks or other medical emergencies. There's a small alcove that can occur in, and there's also a public restroom. The majority of the station is for the crew on this. This is a response station versus a headquarters station. So right away you see the proportion of space is much different here. The program itself is very similar. There's a kitchen dining day area. There's a couple of types of administrative areas. There's dormitories, again, 6 without an officer quarter at this time. And again, just as Station 41 has an exercise area, so does 43, but 43 is really just for the station itself. The apparatus bay and support area, very similar, but obviously scaled substantially back. We're talking about 50-foot bays, 45-foot deep bays, and 4 of them versus 5 at 74, so substantially different in terms of square footage. Very similar support type spaces to the bay. And then just as the previous Station 41 has, there's housekeeping items that need to occur on the footprint of the station itself. And again, we went through the same kind of idea of how do we want to express this building to the public. Again, using a simple material palette of concrete masonry units of brick, board and batt to add different textures that we couldn't use in Clipchamp, for instance, and horizontal siding. So, excuse me, that was the D Street Avenue expression for the building, with the public entry to the right, and obviously the apparatus space more in the center. This we're demonstrating here, probably the main feature is the lower elevation, which is the dormitory area, along with the kitchen day area on the left-hand side of that. And the upper right elevation kind of articulates the beanery area of the station. But again, we can use a variety of texture in terms of the cement or siding on this to give it some relief. And then also, we're looking at a variety of color options for this facility too. We can stay more uniform with 41 and work in the grays and the brick tones, the natural tones. And you can see that from kind of the southwest corner view of it, where you can see the entry, the vestibule is the corner glass element that's coming out to you. The massing element that's going away from you on the right-hand side is the day kitchen dining area, and then obviously the apparatus. And you can see that there's a possibility going with horizontal siding on some elements, like we did here on the beanery area, versus board and batt on some areas. So again, being able to provide a variety of texture, really. And so again, we went through and provided that in several different forms. We could reverse the textures on different massing. We can introduce darker tones like we did on 41. We can pull back and use some more intermediate gray color on it. And as in 41, we can go with all glass doors if we would like, but here it's not as much a requirement or imposed element that it might be on 41. And there's a view of those schemes. We also took a look at going more to a different color palette if there was any interest in breaking away from the uniformity of the stations. And there's obviously a variety of ways we can do that. So again, reaching back to our cost from mid-February, we're looking at a $6 million building element, about a $1.9 million site cost, escalation, again, trying to project out to the midpoint of construction. As we'll see in the schedule, 43 will want to and must lag in terms of construction time behind 41, so we can maintain service at the level that is needed. And so that's why we're actually projecting 43 to be the construction period to be deeper into the future. That doesn't affect the amount of time it takes to build a facility. But we get to a total project cost of $9.6 million. Again, adding on the soft costs, the sales tax, permit fees, construction contingencies, those types of elements. Again, in terms of items that we've discussed since the schematic design phase, the elements that would be one for one in terms of a unit cost that we've discussed on 41. For instance, a good one is the siding upgrade. That would be obviously proportional to the size of the building. Again, if we want to double the solar array. So there wasn't as unique physical adjustments to 43 as there was potentially to 41. So the base number is It's pretty much going to be the base number of the building with a few possible elements. So that's the physical expression of the building. That's what the district is expressing back to the public in terms of the service and the feeling that the buildings will be expressing to the community. I mentioned briefly schedule, and I'll make this fairly brief. We're at a phase in the project that we consider what we call design development. So what we've completed is kind of finding the property, understanding the utilities at a very preliminary level of utility issues. What could be known at that time? Going through the purchase of the property, preliminary test of fits on the property, understanding the programmatic needs of the district and the crews within the facilities. Then we completed schematic design. And so now, moving forward, we're looking at phases that are called design development. That's where we're taking these adjustments that we've already are dealing with and doing the engineering and the designing and incorporating them during this next period of time, so we can further explore the cost of the building and continue to move it in a very linear path forward. So design development will occur in March through May. Construction documents, which is the phase of where after design development, the goal would be that's the input that we've got. Now we can have some time where we can actually solve some of these problems. Many times we don't get to do a full solution of suggestions because it's still moving along. Each layer requires not just a change from the architectural component, but the farther we move along in the process and make changes, it affects my structural engineer, the electrical engineer, the plumbing, the mechanical facilities, the civil design of the site, the landscaping of the site, the acoustics of the building. So by being able to solve these problems in a very linear fashion, we try to reach those points of clarity. And when we get to construction documents, in an ideal situation, we can focus and bring all those elements into a complete set of drawings, which will be submitted to the building department to receive a building permit. After the building permit's received, then we move on to the next phase, which is going to be the bidding period, which will occur in December to February. We'll go out for a public bid. We'll negotiate with the apparent low contractor, reach that milestone, and then we're into phase 4 here, which is construction period. We're anticipating a construction start in the first quarter of 25. And we're anticipating the construction to take 16 months. That puts it at an approximate third quarter of 26 to be completed with Station 41. Station 43 is being developed at the same time, but moving at a little slower pace. Our construction document period will intensify and be completed as 41 is being completed. So we can, any changes we can absorb more readily into that element of the project. We have the same bidding, they'll all come out, get permits at the same time. Obviously it will take less, it is assumed that it will take less time to get the permit for 43. It's a far less complicated building. And then we'll be on track for the December, February bidding period again. But as you can see here, the construction period isn't going to occur until the completion period of 41, including some type of a lag time for us to secure services between those two locations. And then we'll move on to probably it would be closer to a 14-month construction period for Station 43. And this is just another way of looking at the schedule, more of a bar chart, so you can see more of a flow of the project. And that kind of takes us to where we are today. And I'll turn it back over to you, Chief.
I have a couple of, I'll call them the pizza guy questions. The decon room in station 41, I see is only accessible via the apparatus bay. I know that there's a lot of talk and a lot of effort around how decon is being handled and off-gassing of bunker gear and just a lot of new stuff that's kind of coming down the pathway, so to speak. Is there currently any way to, I don't know, isolate that decon room so that you don't have to access it through just the apparatus bay, you know, double door thing or something?
The plan is up, Commissioner, just there, and if we have to have an extra access to the north side, we can certainly provide that.
Okay, okay. And same thing with 43's decon area,
Sure.
it's the same thing, it's
Yes,
access.
yes, if we need to.
Okay. And then, last one is, what do you know about, maintenance on, the solar array panels? Anything at all? I have no idea. I've heard that they need to be washed every couple of years to maintain peak efficiency, things like that.
Yeah, this is obviously a new code element that everyone's dealing with. Like I said, our mechanical and electrical engineers have reached out to Snowpipe, and we'll be working with them directly. And the system that's selected will have that type of information for you to review, and we can give you some direction on that as we move along.
Okay, yeah. That's all I have.
The access, excuse me, the access to the conference room and the exercise room, those are spaces that are going to be made available to city employees, right?
That was what was negotiated,
Yeah.
yes.
And you specifically mentioned that from the lobby and the conference room, they couldn't get anywhere else in the station, but you
Correct.
didn't mention that about the exercise.
Same thing in the exercise
Same
room.
thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's only one door that fronts the rest of the station internally, and that card will be keyed appropriately.
When we visited Sultan Fire, or when I did, which is a station you designed, they mentioned problems with the heating units,
It's the VRF system.
VRFs,
Yeah.
leaking somehow, either
Yeah.
condensation or something.
This is a system that's used throughout the world. It's the state-of-the-art mechanical system to be used at this point. We're working with a different engineer on this project, but it's not an engineering issue, it's more of a control and use issue probably, in terms of the demand that sometimes freedom of control can lead to a variety of issues that the unit was not ever imagined to deal with. So we will investigate that and put protocols in place that won't be an issue.
So is it a protocol issue or is it a design change that we need to look at?
I think it's a control change.
Okay. Do you know what was causing it specifically?
Well, everything is insulated, so again, I believe without a thorough engineering review that it's probably a lot of people demanding cooling on, maybe, you know, somebody likes to bundle up with blankets and crank up the AC, and we've all experienced individuals with odd outlets. And so we.
Are you saying firefighters?
Yes, I am. And so we need to work that element out.
Okay.
They're looking into it, so the system was not designed to cool that room to 58 degrees when it's 100 degrees out. So the engineering never contemplated that, so if somebody did that in a room, that would cause the system to not function the way it was thought to probably function.
And I wasn't given the details about why it was leaking, just stains on the ceiling, and I pointed, he says, oh yeah, those things leak. Okay.
Yeah, it's very resolvable.
From a design standpoint, I shot this question, I think, to you a week or so ago, and I don't think I presented it very well. When I said that the entry didn't say enter here, to me, when I walk up to a building, I want to immediately know where I'm supposed to go in. And I'm just not feeling that in the way this one looks. I don't know if anyone else has.
No, it's a valid point, especially with individuals that struggle with some everyday things like that.
Yeah.
Making it easier would certainly be better for the public. Better signage or more signage or.
No, we haven't really ventured into the signage. It will be signed. Again, you're going to be on the site. The entry will be, in my opinion, the entry would be very clear that that's the entry point of the building. We can investigate it certainly and articulate it more. Again, we'll balance that off with what the city says too. I mean,
Yeah.
So we're working with a lot of different elements. Yeah.
Two things I thought is, it doesn't show, I didn't think of it until you said it, but what it doesn't show very well is we're having privacy fence. So all the yellow there, the gym and the thing, so there'll be privacy fence there somehow that you can't see from the parking lot. So basically from the conference room east, that'll be locked, right? So that'll limit what they see as a building to just that blue and green part too. So that will also help focus to that. So, because we're privacy fencing it, so when the crews are out working in front of the gym, the public doesn't come and interrupt them and see them. Don't want to poke the scary fire.
The majority of the parking of the civic facility also is going to be to the south of the building eventually, much more than the 8 stalls that we're providing for the station. And when you look at the south elevation, like Don had mentioned, it's going to be fairly solid, and that is going to be open and lit. And I think it will express itself pretty clearly.
And sometimes looking at a 2D elevation, it's hard to get that whole thing. I really appreciated the kind of 3D fly-through that you did. That made the building feel more real.
And we can provide more of those. And we can do one strictly at the entry. And I think we can work with all parties concerned and reach a balance with it.
And I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but I was reading through some of the basis of design, and it talked about an emergency 911 box.
Mm-hmm.
And that's designed to be at the front entry. Is that currently where it is? Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if because if I'm a citizen driving and I see it's a fire station, where are they going to pull in? Right in front of the apparatus bay. That's the fire station.
Well, we're restricted by the Clipchamp design district. We're not allowed to, we have to get a variance to put the apron on the line, for instance. They will not allow us to have another access point off of
No, what I'm suggesting is putting a phone out there between, on one of those mullions between
well, we
the
could do both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just because you know how people are going to drive up, they're going to drive there, and if they're in a panic, there's a phone right there, rather than have to circle the building 3 times to find it.
like the old street boxes.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
I don't have anything else.
Chief? No?
I don't have anything unless you do.
How about Commissioner Merritt?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. You're staying awake, aren't you?
What?
What?
All right.
Anybody out there have questions? I think there's one committee member, two
Comments?
committee members here.
Yeah, I would like to say, coming into this in about the ninth hour out of 12, and seeing the amount of work that the facilities committee put into this is tremendous. A lot of thought, a lot of consideration. You guys did a lot of homework. It's awesome.
I'm going to ask the question that I asked that I already got the answer to. If we decide to increase the dorm numbers, where is there any contingency plan of how that would work?
Well, we've showed 3 options of how to increase the dorm areas. So one is to physically enlarge the envelope of the building, which was shown. The other is to reconfigure some of the study space and to create the 7th dorm. From an operational standpoint, with the amount of bays that are there, I guess I'll leave that maybe more to the chief.
Yeah, so 7 dorms mean 8 people because they're not counting the VC's bedroom as a dorm when they say dorm. So 7 dorms mean 8 people, 6 dorms mean 7 people. Yeah, so it's the dorms plus the battalion's rooms. So we figured 8 is probably max. That's a battalion, 3 and 3 and 2, or 3 and 4.
That answer your question? No.
Maybe, possibly.
So there's currently 6 dorms.
Yeah, I mean,
And a couple of studies.
I'm just thinking, hypothetically, 15 years from now, if, hey, we're going to have 4 and 3 staffing, or, whatever number, like, I guess,
Well,
by then I'll be not worried about it.
you'll be in Hawaii on the beach. Frank, can you put up the
Yep. Oh,
I got to share it. You can do that.
Is that 41?
yeah, that's pretty much.
So across the back, there's 6 dorms, and then there's a study between the chief's office and the beanery, right?
Yeah, and that's the converted.
That would be converted
that's-
into another dorm.
That's number 7.
Oh, that's number 7. Okay.
And if somewhere down the line, there might be more, that library right there can be converted into 2 more. That space was designed with that in mind.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good question, though, Kurt. This fire station is 50+ year fire station. What does the staffing look like in 50 years? It's a really, really good question. I think that, is that enough bedrooms? Is the question. Is that enough dorms?
And the increase to 7 was as a result of the 3 commissioners kind of wanted to put money where our mouths were, because we told you that we were concerned about staffing. Well, we gotta have a place for them to go be, right? So we're gonna expand here. I haven't taken a real close look at 43. I'm guessing that we can basically do the same thing there if need be. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. We need, the board has before it some options. And this is part of the amending of the agenda. the options that were presented, and Frank and his team need answers on some of these fairly quickly before our next meeting. I think, Commissioner Merritt and Erickson, are we in agreement that we want to add that 7th dorm?
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Looking down the road,
there's a
yes.
plus for that one. That's a no cost though, right? We don't have to worry about dollars. Increasing the size of the conference room. This is something that was kicked around because the library is essentially being lost, because the study room that was between the chief's office and the beanery is now becoming a dorm, and so the library then becomes study room, and we still want to have space to do things, have some small meetings, larger meetings. So the increase in the size of the conference room, 246 square feet, about 68 grand. I'm in favor of that. Commissioner Erickson?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
I think we can wait on the glazing and the tinting of the bay doors. We still don't have numbers, dollars wrapped around that yet, so I prefer to.
Well, there are numbers in regards to the high-speed bifold doors versus the overhead doors.
Yes, that, but, is this an item that wasn't on your list?
It's just the part that if we keep the rule, if they want to do more glazing, we don't have a price for what that might cost.
Yeah, we can investigate that at this level of costing.
Okay.
You know, you're in the ballpark. We have a contingency in our construction estimate to make these slight adjustments, and they're still in bounds to the estimate. So it would be more helpful to know, yes, are we going to add the glazing or not? That would be helpful.
Understood.
The more substantial one would be the bifold.
Yes.
Yeah, I think,
And that's further down.
I think we've pretty well decided that we're not doing bifolds, right?
Yep.
Bifold doors, the committee that was like number 11 on their list of 11. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll pass on the
But if
bifold doors.
they could have them, they would want them. I'm a massive fan of them. I built quite a few houses in my day, and I never skipped on garage doors. So
Yeah.
that's just my perspective. I would say go for it, but that's just me.
The air gap behind the siding seems like a no-brainer. I mean, anything, for $30,000, if we can extend the life of that for however long, it seems it would be a prudent thing to do. You agree, Commissioner Merritt?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yep.
Solar, I know that we've got a few more days to talk about this, and if the PUD comes back and says, well, yes, you can be able to recoup this in X number of years by adding these number of panels, I'm then wondering, do we stop at 2 arrays, or do we just fill up the entire roof?
The more solar we add, the more complexity that's added to the electrical system too, a bit. Also, the payback period did not look very favorable.
Oh, it didn't?
No.
Okay.
The initial run from the engineer was somewhere between 30 to 40 years on double run.
Do you know how much kilowatts that system creates?
I can get that to you, Commissioner. Yeah. I don't have it out at the top of my head.
All right, yeah, I've done one of those systems in my own personal house, and I was just wondering what the, obviously it being a mandate being, what is, yeah, like you just said, the payout by the time you pay it off, the return on that.
Yeah.
And you did say it was a mandate?
We have to have the first chunk, and so the option is, do we want to double the amount that we're mandated? So we're mandated for the first part, and then we have the option of the second part.
Okay. And we're obviously not storing any of that energy that we create that we don't use, which I guess you would have to give me those numbers in order to be able to mention that.
That goes directly back into the PUD's grid system at the end of the year. I'm not exactly sure how their accounting system works, but they get the white to clean at the end of the year or their fiscal year.
Yeah.
And they take they take the energy, right? So there will always be a bill. There is no such thing as a net zero building because the infrastructure must be paid, or somebody is requiring for the infrastructure that you're downloading into to be paid. And then on top of that, if you generate more, that credit will continue on. That's my understanding in our first look into it. So, and we're pursuing that in more detail right now.
Yeah, I would assume that you wouldn't be able to reach, even if you covered the entire ceiling, the maximum amount that we would be able. We were massive building, we'd be using way more than that. Would be my assumption. So.
Yes.
Right, and you're still exploring the thing with the net metering and all that with beauty.
Well, like I described, they're going to just take your energy. My understanding is you meter it, you understand what you're producing, how you're using it back into your building. All that you will get credited for.
Yeah.
But if you have a surplus at the end of the year, it becomes absorbed by the PD. And I could be incorrect, and I don't want to make any of those assumptions at all. I don't understand their accounting system. So we're investigating it. The mechanical electrical engineer are reaching out to the PUD so we can have a better understanding of it.
We may find that there's a magic number of panels, whether it's 1 or 1.5 or 2.5.
Largest payoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one thing I'm just going to throw this out there, I haven't talked to Frank, but one thing you could do is give them direction, like if we're, like you're saying, if we're hitting the 20-year mark, we want to explore. If we're hitting the 40-year payoff, we don't want to explore, and anything in between, so that if they start going down a road, they can just stop if it's going to be something that you're not going to. So if you guys kind of know that magic payoff number, I just randomly threw 20 years out. We're looking at a 30 to 40-year building. You would think you'd want to get it paid off before we tear the building down.
I would, yeah.
20 is probably appropriate.
20 is probably appropriate. Yeah, I agree. But approximately half the life of the building, or close to 50%. Yep.
That way,
and then allow the size of the array to fluctuate, and run different scenarios to find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Fiberglass windows instead of vinyl, and the only advantage there is that it allows for additional colors. The committee put it at number 7 on their priority list.
Hey Brian, you cut out on the first little bit of that. Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, fiberglass wrapped windows instead of vinyl. And fiberglass gives an opportunity for a larger color palette, whatever color you want the window, basically. With vinyl, you're pretty well stuck with white or brown. Maybe tan, I don't know. There might be 3 colors, but it's $53,000 to allow us to have a painted window. Not sure that I'm sold on that idea.
Yeah, I think that the vinyl windows don't hold up as long as well, so the lifespan of it, if I'm not mistaken. Does that sound right?
Yes, I would agree that we typically use vinyl windows on our punch and our egress windows. The office windows would be the storefront, as it's broken down in our cost estimate that way. So the energy efficiency difference between the vinyl and the fiberglass is insignificant. Vinyl windows are very competitive. And they would fit the architecture well. We can integrate that in.
Right. So, no on the fiberglass?
No fiberglass. Standard vinyl.
Okay.
The other one, we don't have, unless Frank's got one now, do we have any number for the increased parking yet?
No, that was just brought up.
Yeah, it's just- Is
I
that,
would say it's minimal. We're
Is that-
talking about 3 parking stalls.
because we're.
Because it looks like you're taking those 3 away and kind of putting them over there.
Yeah.
So
And then that would put everything behind the secure, right?
Except for the stalls right in front of the.
Right, yes, right.
If you, I mean, I was gonna say, it's probably gonna be pretty minimal, and if the feedback to the committee was that was fairly high on everybody's list, so.
My only request is that you make the stalls big enough for a Ford F-350. Because
Dually.
I would second that.
Yeah.
No, you'll have
make
to-
them Costco size,
you'll have to
okay?
go negotiate
flat
with them on that one. But yes,
Costco
understood.
size parking spaces, yeah. Anything else that I'm missing here? Frank, is there anything that you need more from us?
With those, we got, the integration, probably the one that's out there is the integration of the display building.
Oh,
It's a savings of $24,000 to integrate it into the building, and it provides access internally to that. So it also provides some of that modulation issue.
Right.
I think we probably need to wait until we have to hear until after we hear from the public.
Sure.
If we're going to give them an opportunity to give us input, we should probably listen and say what they want.
Sure, and we still need to negotiate with planning. So even say you put the display building someplace else, we'll be enhancing the north elevation because we'll have to come up with faux windows.
Something anyway.
Yes, so something to consider.
Right.
So the north side is probably a bigger savings than 24,000. That's what we save just on the building, but we'll probably save more by we're gonna spend some money there while we put the building there.
Yeah.
But yeah, still do the public, but there's definitely, something's gonna happen there. Money's gonna be spent on the north side.
All right. Do we need a formal action on any of these? No.
I don't think so, as long as Frank knows what you do, I think you can do that when you actually accept the bid documents.
All right.
As long as we know that that's what you want.
And while we're here on this topic, we're going to schedule the public meeting for March 21st. That'll be a special, so what do we have to do, a resolution or something?
You just have to make it tonight.
Okay, and that's for March 21st at 5:45 p.m. at the Snohomish Library. And that's going to be to allow public input on 3 things: color and landscaping and where to put the building to put steamer in. Because of the constraints, and Frank has done a really good job, I think, of maneuvering through those constraints. Because of the constraints, there wouldn't have been a whole lot that the community could have had input on anyway in terms of design. Because a lot of times, when I've been involved in this before, we get people from the community on that design, or on the facilities committee. So they can, you know, they're certainly not gonna talk about what goes on inside the fire station, because they don't know. But they kind of have an idea of what they'd like it to look like in their neighborhood, right? Well, because of, this is in the Clipchamp district, and it has to look like this, well, you just kind of get what you get. But we do want to offer them an opportunity to have some input. So on those three things: color, the building for the steamer, and landscape. So that's what we'll talk about there. And we need to motion that.
You can do it by the motion, that'll be, you can call it yourself, or you can make a motion.
I make a motion that we set a special meeting on March 21st, 5:45 p.m. at the library to take citizen input on Station 41.
I'll second.
Okay. In favor?
Aye.
There we go.
Just one point of comment here. I think we want to be careful what like the statement about selecting the landscaping. Our plan that's in the schematic set right now represents what we feel meets the minimum requirement. And so just to forewarn that costs tend not to go down, they will go up.
Right.
So,
Well, I don't know if you can go up from $600 a tree. That'd be.
so I just
And I appreciate it. Well, we will be prudent about taking on a whole bunch of recommendations. I think that's all we have for you, Frank.
Okay.
We
Thank
appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, Frank.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why don't we take like a 3-minute, 5-minute break and
Yeah.
stand up, get a drink of water.
Yes, yes, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a discussion about something new for us. We're excited about it. One of the things that the board is very interested in is to stay in touch with the community. And we are looking at creating a community advisory board or citizen advisory board. And Chief Osborne has some information on that.
So this was discussed at our last meeting, and I'm going to call it the CAB for short, but either Citizen or Community Advisory Board was discussed, and I attend the monthly Community Coordinating Committee meeting for most of the groups, clubs, organizations, the city, the school district, the fire district. We come together monthly and we discuss what's going on in our groups and what's upcoming. And I broached this subject and said this will be coming down the pipe, and some of your groups, meaning them, were going to be targets. And nothing but positive communication came out of that meeting. And that was with roughly 20 different groups and organizations. I want to go deeper than that, because a citizen that might not be in tune with the Chamber of Commerce or a Kiwanis Club, but is a member of our community, I don't want to discount them. I want to find ways. And what I wrote up here was to try and develop a strong initial recruiting process. I don't know how that's going to look yet, but I certainly have some ideas. And some of them are through our social media, and some of them are through our website where people, I don't know how all of that works, but I know my own wife gets things all the time from South County Fire. Hey, look at this. Hey, look at this. Hey, look at this. Which is really neat, because I don't know what they're doing, and now we know. So there's a lot of different ways that we can reach out. Even a short letter to the editor or some print paper in the Tribune, I think, would reach people, because I know a lot of members of our community read that.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of ways to do it. I would like to, as I recommended, I think that we should do it. And I think we have enough talent and power within this organization to reach out to everybody that we can think of and let them know. Included in here are some guidelines and then just a draft of bylaws that have been put together. Nothing set in stone. And I would like, obviously, the board to help set whatever those guidelines are.
Sure.
When we do the committee, but I think it's, number one, a fantastic idea, and I think that we will have a lot of people wanting to come and participate. But we need to find a way for you to vet those people and then get that committee formed.
How do we reach the single mom that lives out on the Merrill Road, you know? Because they have an interest as well.
Absolutely.
And I just want to make sure that we don't miss anyone or an opportunity to find these people.
I agree. That was my comment, where I don't want to discount anybody. I want to find ways to reach them. And I know general mailers are fairly expensive, but there may be areas that we can target a mass mailing to.
Well, our newsletter, right?
And our newsletter, that's a fantastic place to put it, absolutely. Because we're sending that out anyway. And for the people that read it, this would be a great spotlight from the chief, from the chair, or from the board in general, that this is what we're thinking about doing. We need your input. Are you interested? Here are the basic things that we need from you to invite you to the first meeting or to an interview process, however the vetting process is going to be.
Yeah. Well, and I think we invite labor to partner
Absolutely.
with us as well,
Right.
because they're in the community more than we are.
Yes. And they can certainly help reach everybody that we want to reach.
I think that social media is going to be our greatest point of reach, at least coming from the youngest board member here, is that even old people are on social media as well. I mean, and you agree that.
What do you mean by old people?
What do you mean, you people?
So I think educating.
I think we discussed that in Phoenix as well.
Yeah.
But I think that.
It certainly is a good tool.
And with our guidelines and bylaws, we can share the expectations.
Mhm.
This is why we want to do this. This is what we hope to get out of it.
Right.
And it's going to take them to give that to the fire district, to the board of commissioners.
Questions?
Nope.
Any other questions? No. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. The
Oh.
only thing that
Mr. Flatt, I had a question about
I
this.
think that's a great idea, and I wanted to share that with you. I was concerned though under the membership that it wasn't, in one of those things in there that it wasn't specific, who could be a part of that. If it's just the district or people outside the district or what, and I don't know if you want to limit that, how you want to do that to make sure that the citizens in the district are certainly represented above folks that are outside.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I just wanted to share that because it was kind of vague when I read through that anyway. So.
Okay. My initial feelings are, obviously, it's Fire District 4, and we want Fire District 4 citizens on it. The other group that I was thinking of were potential business owners in the community that owned a business here in Fire District 4, but maybe didn't live here.
Right.
So I don't know what the thoughts on that would be, but that was one thing that I had considered for sure.
Yeah, I'm not, I would prefer citizens within the fire district itself, but I'm not opposed to if there are some individuals that come from outside the district, entertaining that, looking at saying, yeah, they've got a really strong knowledge background in this field or this subject or something that we can.
Or business owners that
Yes.
live outside.
And that was my thought. They own a business within the district.
Yeah.
But they might live outside, but they're still contributing to the
I think that's all still to be ironed out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have approached so far, other than just mentioning to the CCC, Mrs. Heike, Christine, about finding ways to reach out to the people.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of answers yet, but we're working on them, and I still need to reach out, former Chief Bob Merritt, who has worked with these before, and the other organizations, fire departments that may already have a lot of the legwork done, and they maybe have brought committees together like us, right? Standing committees.
Perfect.
So I need to still do that piece of it.
Okay. Thanks for your work, Chief.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a couple of things that we need to address with regards to consultants. One being a firm to come on and manage the construction of our new fire stations. And we have been in contact, the chief primarily has been in contact with Turner Townsend Hearing, which is a company out of Seattle, I think. And the primary contact there was a gentleman who has done a lot of work in Snohomish, worked for a number of years with the school district, and is very familiar with the operations of our community. And he has made a proposal, and I think, have you taken a look at it?
I took a look at it, yeah. I thought it was a fairly reasonable proposal for, it was.
I was surprised the price was as low as it was.
It was a pretty good.
Just the drive for this was kind of twofold. One, Chief Waller is really busy and and juggles about 27 plates spinning at any one time, and this huge platter in the middle was this fire station project that was getting a lot of attention because it's so big. And I made the recommendation that we look for some help. The other thing is, these folks that do this for a living know what to look for. They've been down the road before. They know the pitfalls, where things are gonna go sideways, and can help us avoid a lot of that stuff. So we asked the chief to find someone. He has found someone. They've made a proposal. Questions, Commissioner Merritt?
No, I have no questions. Do you need a motion to approve that?
I do.
I'll just add, let me add one
Oh,
thing.
wait.
So, and this is just for 41, so I figured we get this going, let them start on that, and if we want them to continue on at 43, we'll have to bring another one back.
Roll it over.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Motion's made.
Second?
Seconded. All approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the second consultant is for the low voltage work at Station 41. It's been a bit of a challenge to find somebody that would come in and do that for us, but we have found we're at BCE. And their proposal is also, I think, fairly reasonable. The only thing that I would, and I don't know what all is going to be covered by this low voltage stuff. Does that include sound reinforcement throughout the building? You know, speakers?
Yes,
and all that?
yeah, so they do alarm systems, which I don't think we will, but fire alarms, all of our IT stuff, all of our station alerting, our phones, our speaker system, our intercom system.
So do they design it?
Yes, that's what this is the design part of it.
Not the installation?
Correct, the installation will be part of
For the bill package?
part of the bill package, correct.
Having an audio background, it's really important to have somebody design that knows what they're doing.
When that's,
You don't want it to sound like a bus station, you know. And what I read in the design, they want to make sure that it's loud enough in the apparatus bay. Loud doesn't matter. It needs to be high quality. So that and with a certain frequency range, it can cut through whatever it needs to cut through, what's running down there, so people can hear it. And then in the rest of the station, it needs to sound, this is gonna sound silly, but when I was riding with you the other day, and your cell phone came through, then it sounded like HD stereo. Compared to the technology 10 years ago, listening to a cell phone in a car was horrible. That's the difference that you can see in.
And that's why it took us a long, because we found one company that we really liked that had that experience. They didn't say this, but I think they wanted a bid on the construction, so they dropped us. Because if you design it, you have a much harder time bidding. We went through 5 other ones to find this one because all the other ones do basically fire alarms and security systems. And then, oh yeah, we could do that. And so this is another company that's actually done fire stations, schools, things that are like ours, and that's why we want to go with them, because all the other ones had never done. When we said speakers, it was more like, yeah, we can do that. Not, we have done that. So
It's never worked on transit.
Yes. So that's why it's taken us
Not because wires.
We're a little bit behind. I mean, not in a bad way, not so good project, but we're a couple months behind. We would have liked to have this a couple months ago, but trying to find somebody that has done big buildings and with speakers and all that thing has not been easy.
Yeah. Conference room, that's gonna be.
These guys will interface with Audi and our IT people so that Audi can tell them all the stuff we want for servers and to get to everything.
Okay.
And then
Right.
they'll design all that, so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Questions, Commissioner?
No, I think it's something that we definitely need to include in the build package.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Yep.
I move we accept that.
Yeah, I agree. My only thing would be is that we make sure that their design carries into the future. You know, obviously things are always changing when it comes to how things go together.
Yeah.
You know, like 10 years ago I was building a house and we were putting speaker wire everywhere in the house, and now everything's Bluetooth. You know, so just that you know, that line.
Yeah.
But I'm on board.
Okay.
100%.
Yep, we're good.
We're good.
I think we need a motion.
Motion, well, I made a motion.
Oh, did you? Did we approve it?
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Aye.
Just don't want to miss a T or dot an I. Have to come back a month from now and start all over.
So we've got folks that are interested in reclaiming things from Stubers. And you know, it's unfortunate because there's a whole community of people that's what they do. Old buildings, they pull doors and windows and all that kind of stuff, and it's great. And it would have been perfect had they approached us like 8 months ago, so that when we took the property into possession, we could have said, go for it. But at this late date, it's going to be a little more difficult to accommodate those because of the training that's going on there and the fires that are coming up. The chief has mentioned that there may be a window of opportunity between the time that the training stops and the live fire starts. So we got a few days, correct, Mr. Ham?
Then we had a change in schedule.
Oh,
So there's a window of about 2 to 3 days.
okay. I thought you were going to say 2 to 3 hours.
I could.
Sunday, the end of 3.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
I had some discussion with a couple of people about it, and there was a couple of people that said, absolutely not. It's like, if you sell a house, you know, once that deed is signed, you don't get access back to it. On the other side, there was the goodwill for the citizens and people that want to do some stuff. And my preference would be set up like a 4-hour block, and we need to pass pass it by our legal folks to make sure that we are held clean. A 4-hour block or something like that, that they can go in and dig out plants, get their metal detectors out, go scan the area for 4 hours, and then after that.
I personally would lean towards no on that, just the liability wise, I mean, yeah, I think that it opens us up to liability and having people on the property.
If it's a liability, I would agree with that.
Yeah, as much as I would say, well, it's public, it's theirs, it's their money, but at the same time, it's like, it just opens up, I think it opens up too many more problems than it would be, too many negatives than positives in that aspect. I would just say no. I've had neighbors approach me, I have one property across the road, I have neighbors approach me, and I would just say, me personally would just say no, just be easier to say, sorry, it's not, the liability is too much of a liability to let everybody on the property digging around. Your thoughts, commissioners?
Oh, whatever the majority vote is, I'm not either, like I say, for. The only thing I would say, if it was we would give them a couple hours to go in and get plants and metal detectors, take nothing out of the building at all, and even if that would be very limited access, you bring a wheelbarrow and a shovel to a gate, and that's what you take on.
We've had a lot of interesting, so just to fill you in so you have all of it. So we've had a lot of people ask for the same thing. So that's one issue, building parts, but if you said it's going to building, but we've also had people ask for the metal roofing that was taken off. Windows that are just sitting around. And so, but a lot of these we've had more than one person ask for the same thing. So we will do whatever you want, but it's, for me, the making sure we're fair and equal will be
challenge.
I never considered that. I never considered that at all. So let's just deny it all the way and take care of the issue.
I mean, it would be nice to be. Go ahead.
Would it be possible to have whoever's doing the excavation when it comes to taking the structures down to dig up the plants and put them on the corner of a property and be like, put a free sign on them? When it comes to that, I mean, I do think it would be a shame to just,
throw them
all in the public. If we could give them away for free, but to have people out digging around, to me, is too big of a liability. Coming out, trying to dig up plants that are way too big to be dug up. And would that be an option, do you think?
I don't know if they would or not. I'd have to ask them. They're kind of like, they want to come in and
just do their work.
Yeah, huge machines and be done. But also we walked through with a former owner and some of the people from the Parks Department with the city to see if they can take anything for the parks, and the general consensus was that everything there is so old and big, none of it's transplantable. There's some things that people can take cuttings from and repropagate, but that's like, from what they said, that's almost an expert level of the things that are there. So again, we don't mind, and we could even figure out a way to get some of the things up and put them on the side, probably easier than Faber, because they're coming in with the gigantic excavators, not.
As much as I'd like to allow the community to reclaim some of this stuff, I just don't think it's a good idea.
Okay. No, I have no problems with that.
All right.
Okay, we just wanted to, we got enough interest that we felt it was your guys' decision and not ours.
And I really appreciate it.
Fair enough.
We need to approve the moving expenses. Any discussion on that, Commissioner?
No, they all looked above board as far as cost goes, so.
for those in the audience, we have, part of the agreement was that the fire district has to pay to help these people move their stuff. So that's what we're paying for.
It's the law, it's written in the law that we have to.
Yeah, so it's state whack, public property, and, yeah.
Is there a,
I'll make a motion to approve the costs as
there's
written.
no invoice number or anything here yet?
Correct, so you approve it, we'll pay it, but then you will get, what, one of them, or more? Yes, is it just one?
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
any
all in
that
favor?
50, you'll have to come back.
Aye.
Aye. That's done. And renting a storage unit.
This is almost as long as the bunker here.
Okay, moving along, part of increasing staff is increasing staff. Sounds a little redundant, but it takes people to support what you all do. And we are going to be losing a very integral part of that staff in about a year. Christine Heike will be riding off into the sunset with her husband. I don't know if they're going to live in Maui or somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, so we have asked the chief to put together a proposal, some job descriptions, and a job announcement. And we are suggesting to hire 2 people. Because one to cover Christine and the other to cover the additional staff work that we anticipate will be generated as a result of adding a fire marshal. And that whole program that is going to need to be supported. So, any discussion? We're looking at 2 people. I had a question, the salary range, is that for 2 or is that 1? 137 to 143?
That's for 2. Yeah,
That's for
that
both.
would be-
I was gonna say, I'll apply. Only 1.
That's why I don't remember that.
All right. So, anything, Evan? No.
Nothing.
All right. I move that we approve that job description and the salary range.
Yeah, it's 2 job descriptions.
2 job descriptions, a business specialist and an executive specialist. Sounds important. And they are. So,
I'll second that movement then.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And that takes us to the next new position, that being a fire marshal. It's been a bit of a challenge because when you consider the fact that the city of Snohomish hasn't had, in all reality, hasn't had any fire prevention in the downtown core for decades, literally. It's going to take a very special kind of person to be able to put together a program and then sell it to those business owners that haven't had to comply with the fire code since before dirt. And finding someone like that is tough. Because they not only have to know fire code and prevention and code and building codes and all that kind of stuff, they need to really know people to be able to massage that whole process and make sure that we stay friendly with everyone downtown. So we are hopefully closing in on a person or 2 of interest, and And we have a job description here, and we need to approve that, and then approve the chief to enter into a contract, which we also have a copy of this contract. Questions or comments, Mr. Harrison?
No. The only comment I would have.
Wait, you said no. And then you go to the only comment. Make up your mind.
Okay. What Ryan said, we haven't had a fire marshal in the district. There was a couple intern people in there that tried to fill without those shoes, but it's important from a safety standpoint for not only our citizens, but our firefighters, to make sure that buildings are up to the kind of code that they need to be, so that if something does happen in a building, that we hope that it's been upgraded the way it should be upgraded, and
no surprises.
No surprises, yeah. So it is important.
Right, I move that we authorize the chief to enter into that contract and approve the job description as well.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go forth and prosper.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, something exciting. We had a promotional test, terminal, and I'm not going to spill the beans on what this whole thing is. All I'm going to say is that I'm going to hide the names. They're going to know that I have a list up here.
They'll be after you.
We are going to certify that list tonight. Is there a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion to certify the list.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I want to be the first to extend a congratulations to all of the participants, and we'll see what happens as far as promotions go.
Yes, congratulations, and thanks for all the hard work of the guys that put on the test as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
And I'll say again, I said it after DC, but the tests keep getting harder and the candidates keep doing better. So it's really exciting to
We're
see
doing
it.
something right.
Exactly.
Good. That's awesome.
Good.
So Chief Hawkinson, thank you for all the work. Good job. Well
You
done.
guys stole me to Phoenix, so really, Witherrow, Aaron, they got the Jorbe got to do the bulk of it.
Awesome. Good crew. Okay, as we all know, we did a study, this was BB before Brian, on looking what it would, the possibility of District 4 and Surfer working together. It's a big, thick study like this. And we have asked the chief to now re-engage that same consultant and take a look at what it would look like for us in South County. Because that's another distinct possibility. And truth be told, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here, I'm going to say it anyway. We should probably look at the entire county at some point in time and see what looks and works best. And the commission is in the process of getting together with 80% of the commissioners from the rest of the county to talk about just that thing. For not only cooperatively working, but looking ahead 15 to 30 years and say, what's the fire service going to look like when we're all retired? But, and I use the analogy of somebody a long time ago should have figured out that they should have put light rail down the middle of I-5. I don't want to be those commissioners that, you know, it's 15 years from now, well, why didn't they think about doing this? So we're going to try to get ahead of that ball meet with the commissioners. So, another baby step in doing that is this program where District 4 looks at what it would look like to work with South County. And we have a proposal, thank you, I was missing the word. From Jim Torben, he's a fire service consultant. It's reasonably priced.
Yeah, the first one was done, I thought it was very well done, very informative, very open-minded. So it wasn't like they were looking at it from one single angle. The study is just, it's pure information, which is the way to do it. Take a look at the information and make a judgment call from that standpoint. Go, okay, what works, what doesn't work, what would be advantageous, what wouldn't be advantageous.
Mm-hmm. Any comments, Commissioner Merritt?
I agree with that 100%. I think in my perspective, it's definitely changed throughout the last year, 2 years on that subject. And I think that I do agree with you that we should be looking way further down the road than we are right now, or than we have in the past. I think that us doing this study is a step in the right direction for sure.
I move that we accept this proposal and instruct the chief to enter into the contract.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, commissioners, on that note, we have received 2 letters back from our letter that we sent, correct? One from Surfer, one from South County. Have you received any other letters from the other districts in regards to that conversation you want to have?
I think everybody has, last week I got the last run, and so I think we've got a response back from everybody. So now I'll start setting up a doodle poll so we can start figuring out days.
Who can come when?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that'll be the toughest part.
It's a lot of people from a lot of organizations.
Yeah, we're talking, what, 25 people?
Yeah, so.
Yeah, maybe more.
Yeah, so it could be a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, exciting.
Washington State Auditor has suggested that we pay a little closer attention to our checkbook. That's probably an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it is.
Not that we're doing anything wrong, but they just like to see stuff, right? And we've worked with Andrea well, I haven't personally, but Chief Strayer has. And she has done a lot of good work for us. Do you want to expand on that?
Well, we hired her to do some forensic or historical accounting for us, and she did a great job. Nice tidy package, did it quickly, efficiently, and it was a pleasure to work with as well. So from that, I would recommend that she fill that bill that the auditor's office has for that third-party independent oversight.
Okay. Just so that, they're looking for somebody outside of the fire department to look besides the state auditor. So another person to come in and tell us that we're doing it right. Having one, don't get me started.
The auditor does what they call a procedural audit, so that they're auditing us for process.
Yeah. They audit the process. Andrea audits the numbers.
And then actually somebody's looked over my books that's independent before I turn it into them, or we're not in.
As long as we do the third party audit in the right process.
Is this the one that was?
Love state laws.
Former state auditor?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah, that's good, yeah. She has experience, she worked for the state auditor's office for a while, she's worked for municipalities, she's now started her own firm, she works on her own, but.
Good.
Yeah, so, and the contract that what we asked her based on our conversation, I asked her to put together, I just gave her our cap and said, can you put together something that's gonna allow us to reach that maybe, but give us savings, so I can become more efficient, I can do more stuff, and we can benefit out of it. She said, yeah,
Cool.
I'll do it. So that's what she did.
She'll start with immediately.
She would start immediately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questions? Questions?
No, I'm in favor of it. I think just like all the other chiefs, Greater Erie Pro and Chief Greater, you're juggling a lot as well. Anything to help you out and take some stuff off your plate as well, right? If it makes you more efficient, we definitely should support that.
Cool. Make a motion that we accept that proposal and authorize the chief to enter into the contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the last item was push the business.
I have one more question about that. We discussed about keeping her kind of on retainer as well, past the point of I think we discussed that in the, is that something that we wanted to do?
I don't know that we formally did, but after we concluded and with the work that she had done last year, we asked her if we could keep her kind of in that capacity. We always have a little bit of room for professional services. Not something we planned on using routinely, but just if we needed her.
Okay.
So.
And we have told her that we expect this to be an ongoing contract. So we will probably still have to, we'll either have to bring it to you, or probably what we'll do is we'll just budget it in the 2025 budget. So we will kind of have her on retainer without being a retainer, because she'll be doing that work with us every year. So that's basically going to have an ability to interface with her for, I don't know, a couple months a year every year.
Okay.
Awesome.
Transport waivers. We have a couple, I understand.
You do three.
Okay.
First, second, third of the year. Each one of them are different.
Is there anything of, I scanned through it, but is there anything of note on any of these?
Yeah, I would probably, so the first one you'd be considering the patient that's deceased.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's pretty cut and dry. And the district's recommendation is just based on that sliding scale of the income that they provided proof of.
Yeah.
So that's what you have in front of you.
Okay.
The second one is a pretty standard, just a request for financial hardship, for reprieve from financial hardship there. And then the third one is a minor who submitted through the financial company and just stated that she doesn't live at home and can't pay the bill.
Yeah.
And so she has no proof of anything, just her statement. Just an interesting situation. Statute 3. It should be referred to as, yeah.
I move that we approve all three, and then
I second that.
So at the district's recommended, okay, knowing that the third one, there is no,
right, there's a minor, so there's nothing on
okay,
it.
just want to make sure that's.
We have no recourse.
Yeah. Commissioner Merritt, anything?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. All in favor?
So just to be clear, are we waiving the third one?
Yes.
Yes, all three.
All right.
And
Well, the district's recommendation was not to waive anything because we have nothing to base it on, like we do the others. So if we're following the process,
Yeah.
she would be charged the full bill, which she has a means to pay. I'm sure we go to collections and.
I get it.
Yes.
Okay. We're breaking the law. No, we're not.
Well, this is
We
case in
had,
point.
we had asked, I think the last time we had some waivers, there was some gray question areas.
And this popped up, and this makes the case even more.
Yeah, we're still working on that.
Yeah.
On the previous one?
Well, no, on a,
Just a
On a reconfiguration, how to do it.
yeah.
A solution for it, yeah.
There you go, thank you.
All right. And with that, Comments from you chiefs? Tell us
I
how
don't have
great
any
things are
pictures,
going.
man.
You haven't said a word all night.
Well, you got to the good part now.
I'm all yours.
Take a couple minutes and brag about our operational personnel, and I reflect a lot based on when I came in 1990 as a part-timer all the way to current, and I continue to be in awe of how much progress we've made and how many more things we're involved in. So just our call volume when I first got on was right at 1,000, I think. I remember our first year as being paid firefighters in District 4 going Monday through Friday more than once, not running a single call the whole week. The other day I came into shift this a week ago, and I think it was D shift, getting off shift, and they had ran 23 calls in one 24-hour period, and that's becoming more frequent. We are busier. They are busier. The people that are going out on the responses are much busier than we used to be. So I think the projected added staffing and get to a point where we can uncross rigs and get dedicated we're going in the right direction. So appreciate that. In addition to the increased call volume, we're working on the Pine Avenue project, all the training, our training division, our instructors, people that are prepping the homes. We've got a lot of hands in that project. That's been a heavy lift. I want to thank our training division. I'd like to thank Doug Higby, Garrett Lane, Bazzelli. I know there's more that I'm probably missing, but I see them down there with hammers, shovels, prepping the buildings for block training. That's going really well. Very positive comments from South County and Surfer, the other two agencies that are also participating in that training. We've increased our promotional testing. We're doing it yearly, so we always have members studying for whether it's PC, lieutenant that we just certified, or an engineer test that's happening next month. So we got candidates inside our wall studying. We do have probationary employees that are being supervised, so that's going to be a common theme with adding more personnel. We're always going to have extra training to get our probationary candidates up to speed. We just finished our officer training. Neil and Aaron and Daryl brought in a great couple VCs out of Olympia area that talked to our officers about coaching and counseling, effective ways to do that at the company officer level. All the committee work that's going on, from apparatus to stations to engine truck committee, that's added work that we've never had before, and I appreciate all the members stepping up and being part of those committees and getting us going in a good direction. And then tech rescue, we're adding that capability to our district, which takes a lot of training. We got a 40-hour confined space class coming up in May. I had a SOPP board meeting today, which is Special Operations Policy Board. So we submitted our signed ILA to become a participating agency. That was accepted, so they should be emailing us back a signed copy from their end. So we are officially, District 4 is a participating member on the county team. I also provided, and I don't know if you guys like the format, the kind of an hours report. I added to that, we currently have 3 members. We're not up to full staffing. So when you read some of these hours, we've got people out from short to long-term leave that we're covering holes for. Block training second session, which was, I believe, residential search, just completed that last week. We're starting to prep for block 3, which is forcible entry and ventilation. And then we met today, Aaron and I and Greg went down and met with South County and Surfer to start finalizing our live fire training plans. And we have some adjustments to that we'll be working out over the next couple of days to get those plans dialed in. Shout out to John Stewart. We did a first quarter rope training. That's what the pictures are from. He coordinated and got most of the rope team down there, and they ran a scenario with a car over the embankment. That was a great evolution, and I think everybody that participated in that enjoyed it. Thank you to Kurt for using your tractor to pull that car back up to you, maybe.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Wait, you didn't do a 27-to-1 system to pull the tractor back there?
No, Stewie wanted to get everybody to get a workout, so he only let them do a 3-to-1, so they had to get a good workout. So yeah, I'd like special thanks to Stewie for putting that together. He did a great job. Lieutenant Osborne's working with me on the confined space class we got coming up, so I'd like to acknowledge that. I'd like to acknowledge and thank the training division along with all of our VCs and then our local president, Chris Jorve, for proctoring and helping put that lieutenant exam together. So that was great to have a lot of help on that. And I think that's about it. You guys have any questions?
I'm especially happy to see the three different groups working so cohesively in not only setting up the training, but then carrying through with the training. I was impressed with the you sent out the overhead photos, and then Evan sent out the photo with I don't know how many fire engines were lined up on Pine Street, but there must have been 10 or 12 fire engines lined up on Pine Street, it looked like, and I think that says a lot all by itself. So it's good stuff.
Very positive feedback for everybody.
Yeah.
In fact, I went to Starbucks before the meeting, and the barista said, hey, I drove by the other day and I called my mom and said they're already burning the houses because she saw the after the smoke. So she thought we were kicking it off already.
Yeah.
I got to participate in that training, and it was phenomenal. You guys did a phenomenal job training Aaron and I can't really see you, and I think you're off camera, but training everybody that put the hard work into that, it turned out phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the live stuff.
Tough act to follow, but I'll try. No cool pictures. And I do want to point out I have a typo in here, but apparatus and facilities, I can say yes. I brag a lot about Chef Gary at the monthly breakfast, and I will again. We have 4 vehicles in some state of completion right now. The 2 Colorados are out of Station 40. Our fingers are crossed.
One's done.
Chief Raiders is done. Hallelujah. That's one down. The second Colorado should be done anytime. They're working on them simultaneously. The engine continues to get Sean B.C. Witherow, Gary, and that engine committee on where those got stickers all over which piece of equipment's going where. This shelf needs to be raised. This shelf needs to be lowered. So this guy's running around here like crazy, doing a lot of stuff.
Is the compartment configuration on that rig different than our existing rig?
This one is. This one is fairly different.
So that's why it's taken a long time to figure out where it
Yes. Yes, it's different. The interior of cab design, and then how they're going to sever everything. So hopefully it's the start of the future, and things are going to work out good. Our building next door. My fingers are crossed. Our next meeting is going to be in there, and it's going to be all neatly painted with brand new carpet and good
We have to
looking
smell
walls.
new paint?
Yes, we'll have to smell new paint. Yes, and new carpet. Yes. So we're getting close there. Wednesday morning, final sanding and texturing, and then we're on to paint. I'm hoping the painting won't take that long. It's a good-sized building, but it's not huge, so I'm hoping that that'll go quickly. And then it's getting the carpet in here and getting that set down. And we're going to work around our next commissioner meeting, which it'll all be done by then. And our life scan physicals. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. How we're going to use those 3 rooms, and we're working on it. So that's going to happen. My typo was in Station 42. We did spring a very, very tiny leak, and it was taught really early by our crews, which was excellent. But it's not at Station 42, it's at Station 41. In the large drying room that's down there, there was a little bit of water trickling on the floor. Said, what's going on? We thought maybe it was a drain. Gary and I were on the phone. I was down there, and I said, open her up. and there was just a little tiny pinhole in one of the plumbing pipes.
Copper line.
Copper line. Yep, little tiny. So, a little bit of plumbing and a little bit of sheet rock because it was caught so soon by the crews. I expect that to be, and I should never say this with everything that I touch, but a very quick repair and not super expensive on top of that. So we're working on that.
Did you have a comment?
Yeah, one thing that we're a little leery about is if you look down the cold copper line, there are some green spots which indicate potential hitting. So, you know, we don't know for sure where it's all starting from.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, it's just inside.
But it's only on the hot, or the cold side, which is not typical. Which usually it comes from the hot, so it's gas heat, so we shouldn't get electrolysis, so that's for sure. We're working our fingers crossed.
And our plan, rather than fix a little piece of pipe, is going to be fix a big stretch of pipe and get it replaced, and hopefully prevent that in the future down there at 41. Our fire program, our next mandatory meeting is tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. With the safety stuff. We have developed regionally a near miss form, and in the past, a lot of times near misses were word of mouth. You know, hey, this happened when we were on a call, or this happened during training, somebody could have really got hurt or worse. And now we've got a very simple form, so I'll be working with Christine to just fine tune that form so it's in a fillable PDF. In addition to what you brought up at the awards banquet as far as that safety form also.
Yep.
And I think that we can maybe integrate a little bit of a near miss into that form as well with possible solutions. So we haven't had a good near miss form before, but we have had things happen, and rightfully so. So we had it, Chief has said, I want it in an email. And then it's in an email, and then we have it, and it's there. This form is easily attached to an email, but it's got a spot for a photo or two, and then it's got, this is what we're doing, this is what happened. And then I'm gonna ask them to put possible solutions so we don't have a near miss in the future.
Is creating and maintaining something like that set us up for any kind of L&I investigation?
I think in the future, potentially, it could, if it got out. The possibility, I think, would be there if somebody came in. I don't know, Chief, do you have any idea how they would ask for something like that? If we had just an internal near miss form that we knew about, that we shared at safety committee meetings, anything like that?
No, I think the only reason it was set up is if we identified a problem and then ignore it.
Didn't take any action.
L&I has started changing their ways of doing business. And in the past, it was, if something came up, it was more of a punishment than anything else.
Yes.
And now they are promoting when they see an organization actively trying to make improvements and fixes, they're right in there next to you, giving you suggestions and helping and pushing you down that road. So.
And that's where the fire programs really come in. Brent Olson, the guy that's running the fire program, used to work in enforcement and punishments and fines and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's great having his background, and this is a statewide program that he's overseeing. But his insight and talking about, you know, we want to keep you out of the inspection and enforcement and penalty phase.
Yep.
And us, Chief, and the passport allowing us to be part of this program, saving us money on our L&I fees to start with, but it's giving us all kinds of things to look at as an agency without fear of punishment. And what it's done for us is turned into a 3-county regional safety group, where we have our county monthly safety meetings, and then we have a representative that goes to 2 other counties and talks about the things that we're doing, and then brings back to us the things that the other counties are doing when it relates to fire. And it's been a blessing for me, learning and getting ideas and being able to steal and beg and borrow to make our stuff better. And our safety committee is starting really right now, really to buy in. And knowing that we are an advisory committee, that's what we are, by the WAC, but knowing that we can talk about these things, we've got great meeting minutes, and then if something does come up, I can go talk to the chief, and the chief has an extensive background in firefighter safety and occupational safety, and we can talk about those things. You know, if we want something new, and we go, hey chief, we want something new, he's probably going to say, give me more information. Okay? So this allows us to take a lot of that information and go and then have a really good discussion about it, rather than nothing's ever going to happen. It's the complete opposite now, which is really, really refreshing, really good. On our public outreach and stuff, I want to brag on Gary one more time. We just served 170 people at the Snohomish Senior Center Community Breakfast. We had a rush going, and Gary's in there running the grill. They absolutely love him. He represents himself and then the fire district really well. Everybody knows he's a member of our organization. Our fire explorers are down there on that first Saturday, and they stopped the breakfast, I don't know, halfway through and make a big announcement. Let's thank the Snohomish firefighters and Snohomish fire explorers for doing this, and everybody claps, and then they keep eating. So it's been a lot of fun. It was mentioned a little bit earlier, but we've had people that just went down and finished the stair climb, representing Fire District 4, which was really neat. Everybody went down, sounds like they had a really good time. A couple people set personal bests that regularly go down and do the stair climb, which is exciting. On a personal note for them, First Responders Night down at the Snohomish Sports Dome. We did that along with Snohomish PD representatives and the National Guard, our neighbor here. We do a little bit with the Snohomish representatives of the National Guard at different events. We talk to each other, and hey, you're going to be at this event? Yes, and then we'll set up and just talk to people and have a really good time with them. So it's building more relationships with other organizations, which has been really neat. The Explorers themselves just took on 8 new members. I had a call a little while ago. There's 2 more that want to come in, so they're probably going to have 10 brand new members in the post. So much for staying at 12. There'll be probably 25 when we're done. And that's a chore, as Commissioner Erickson knows, the bigger the number. So, wildland. Last thing that I wrote about here is coming up. We just yesterday received the RT-130 from the state, so the required training. So now part of our committee, our instructors, are putting that training together. The RT-130 specific for our red carded people, but everybody in the fire district is going to get wildland trained. They won't be certified. The ones that want to be certified will be. PAC test is coming up. Our organization makes them do the arduous PAC test if they're going to get their red card. So show that they're in that minimum shape that they need to be in to be the wildland folks. Our brush truck finally got the hose reel put on it. It's over in Monroe right now, getting that plumbed, getting the shelf put in. It's going to come back as soon as the other Colorado's out of the bay and get the rest of the electronics put in. It's been a long time coming. Finding parts has been difficult. Getting the schedule's been difficult, but I'm very excited now that it's out of here in the shop getting work done. And any word when it's coming back? Okay, it's coming back, and then it's going to forward and get the rest of the stuff done. So very excited about that. We will have, when all is said and done this year, 19 red carded people that will be eligible for state mobilization, and they're chomping at the bit. So we've got just about everything ready to go for them.
Do any of them have any additional certifications?
Nobody, I take that back. Christopher Jorby, no, he is he's a trainee for an engine boss. And then Kurt Bartleheimer. Doc, lay out your certs, because you.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Depends on who you ask.
That's true.
We can't even find them this.
Yeah.
Trying to catch up to the Chiefs, but that'll never happen. So I started in Wildland in 1997 working for the state DNR, and I worked for the Park Service, and then I was engine captain, full-time engine captain with the BLM before I moved back home. So that is my pre-structural experience.
So Doc's on our red carded staff, our highest certified person that goes out on those state modes, different than what Chief Rader does when he goes out. So Kurt's on the line doing it, and he currently is our highest certified person. Our goal is to get these people out on modes, especially the ones that have never been on a mode or been on one mode, get them that experience before we open up a task force for them and say, okay, we're gonna bump you up, try to bump you up to the next level. You've never been on a state mode, I want you to go on state modes and be in camp and go out and fight the fire and be part of that team before we do that.
Sure.
And then same thing with our own committee. The county has a monthly committee meeting or a meeting as necessary that Jeremy Stalker runs from Getchell. He's one of our county coordinator folks. And he will come out if there's task force that need to be open, if there's certifications that need to be approved. That group does that as well for the whole county, for all of our red card people. I'm just really excited now that rigs are going to be out on the street instead of sitting somewhere not doing anything. Last thing that I have is our last auction items. We received a check today for $24,861.60 from Gov Deals, the auction service that we use for government auction. So everybody paid. The last thing's supposed to be picked up tomorrow, and then our most recent auction, half of the stuff's been picked up. We're still waiting to hear when they're going to come and pick up the 5 metal cabinets.
And the hose?
And the hose is still on auction now. It's still being bid on. So we're waiting for that one to close.
Oh, somebody actually bid on it?
Yes.
All right. I was hoping.
Two
we could
people.
get it right.
One of them's out here.
No.
Yeah.
Swear.
Yes,
I'll let you double check my bid.
And the last thing with that is we'll be coming to you soon with the resolution for one more vehicle to go up on the auction.
Thanks, Chief.
You're welcome.
Good,
Yeah.
good report.
Good stuff.
I want you guys to know that he didn't steal my time, I gave it to him.
He is, yes. Casey.
My allotment.
I yield my time to the,
Yes.
to the
To the
gentleman.
better, to the better presenter, the one with
I don't know about that.
more valuable content. I really don't have, I outlined for you the 6 items that I've been working on. I think the only remarkable revenue items was the money that came in from the city, $1.8 million, and then we got the money from DFIS for the annex over here. Other than that,
Did we have to arm wrestle them at all? As far
I
as
don't think so. The chief had a couple of quick emails with them, negotiating what, $5,000 or something because of the bid that came in.
Yeah, I had to do a little bit on
A
the
minor adjustment.
repair that they were under our lowest bid, and then they forgot to do the remediation,
Oh.
and I just sent them what we paid.
Yeah.
And miraculously, it took them almost 2 weeks to review, and it came back to the cent.
It's an insurance
Yeah,
company.
the same as what we
No
paid.
arguments, yeah.
Yeah.
But I would like to thank, I'm sorry, you guys haven't done.
No.
I just wanted to say, I know you guys were there, Commissioner Merritt, we missed you at the big shindig, but Chris and Sam, and I know Neil was part of the committee as well, but I'm there with Chris and Sam all the time. I see the amount of effort and work they put into that, making it a great event. It was a huge improvement over what at least we've seen since I've been here. And so just getting it off site and trying to make it fun, and they'll continue to do so, but I'd like to thank them publicly for all of their time and effort put into that. It was a big endeavor, so.
Yeah.
That's really all I had.
Hey, sorry, I couldn't make it.
Next time.
Next time.
I also yielded my
Hey.
time to Greg. Go ahead, Go ahead, Mr. Merritt.
Hey, question for you, Greg. You said the near miss, is that the Agent 41 against Station 41, that wheel? Is that what that near miss was?
Yes. Yes.
Right,
So
that was considered the near miss.
Yes. But more so, we've actually created a form now So that is, to me, worst case scenario. It could have been a heck of a lot worse. We could have an apparatus out of service, a fire station out of service. We don't. But with the form itself, I mean, if there's a safety concern in the fire station and somebody is doing something, whether it's working on a rig, I know fire chiefs have been killed installing tire chains on apparatus in a fire station before. But things that go on here, things that go on the training ground, things that go on calls that could have been disastrous but weren't, are the things that we're looking for. And then really right now the only thing that stands out is, yes, that Station 41 incident with Engine 41. And that was with a backup person and an officer outside the ring.
Minimal damage though?
Yes, yeah, it was a scuff mark, and that was it. So no structural damage, no apparatus damage, nothing.
So if an engine were to have a door open and it runs through the garage door, is that considered a full hit?
You would have to tell me that one.
Difference between a near miss and full hit.
Yes, definitely.
That might be considered a home run.
Yes. As I recall, that was pretty much a home run on that deal. Yeah. And you brought it up, not us.
Well, I was going to talk some, but Greg took the rest of my time that was left.
You're welcome, Chief.
No, I'm not going to go over all I'll say is that we're working hard to get a little bit better information about the training and the live burn. We were set to do the pamphlets this week, but training, threw us a curveball with maybe changing the live burn, so we're going to wait till that gets those out tomorrow so that we can have the most accurate information before we start spreading the word.
The video.
Yeah.
Chief, you had sent out a kind of a preliminary video, and I thought that was phenomenal. It's very, very well put together. I know that it's just it's not done yet, but I think that's great.
Yeah. So hopefully that'll be out tomorrow, and all the three agencies there, and that's again one of those ones that it was us in South County and Surfer. It was the Surfer's PO that kind of did the final editing, but all of us were down there, and it's another one of those collaborations where we're all working together, and now we can share the exact same information, all three of us.
Yep.
So yeah,
that was really well put together, and I think very, very helpful to get that information out to the community for sure.
How do you intend to push that out?
it'll go out through our social media, all three agencies' social media and our websites. And then we're hoping, again, a lot of the media purposely track our website, so we're hoping that will, get some earned through them, and they'll just want to pick it up. Because we talked about inviting media down, but we decided we're gonna wait for that and have a media day on the first day of live work.
Okay. Commissioner, comments?
Nothing.
Commissioner Merritt, any comments?
I do not have any comments. I would like to say thank you, though. Thank you for all your guys' hard work.
Well, you're welcome, and same to you. I would wherever you are. I would like to echo what Chief Prater said. The event on Saturday night was it was heartwarming for me as a former firefighter to come in and see that whole just the event in total was awesome. It's great.
Yep.
Congratulations to everyone that got an award, and look forward to seeing more of that in the future.
Or 2 or 8.
2 or 3 or
Wasn't it all months?
it's gonna look like the Eagle Scouts with the 27 merit badges. Good work, everyone. And yeah, please pass on our congratulations to Sam and Christy.
One quick go back, your chair chatter, you're famous. It went live today, so the crews are. What shift is on today? Is it? Bravo Boy. So this week, all the shifts will get the opportunity to be.
B shifts offers.
B shift, first run.
How'd we do?
Not, 12 out of 10.
That could be either good or bad.
Yeah, we went past good, we're already back.
Yeah, and we're starting all over again, so.
All right, well, there being no further business in front of the board, this meeting is adjourned at 20:47 hours.
It's 21.
Oh, your computer hasn't updated.
Oh.
Is it 21:47?
Yes, sir.
Is it really
It is.
9:47?
It is.
It is.
See, I did that to Christine last time too.
Greg's report.
21:47.
Sorry.
Yeah, 59.
I'm going last next time.
No, you're not.
Claire.